Hi friends, I'm Caro. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing the end of the year book tag. This tag was started in, I believe, 2017 by Ariel Bissett. She's a Canadian YouTuber. She has booktube content, but most recently she's been renovating her 1850s farmhouse, and she's got some great renovation videos. She also has a podcast with her friend Raylene LeMay. Raylene, if you're watching this, I hope I said your last name right. Their podcast is called Books Unbound. You can watch it on YouTube, and you can also listen to it wherever you listen to your podcasts. So let's get started with the questions. The first one is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? I don't want to say need to, but there's a few I want to finish. First, there's Pat of Silverbush. I have been reading this book off and on since, I think, September. Yeah, but I keep coming back to it. I keep picking it up. And to me, that's the sign of a really great book. And I keep thinking about passages from it. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm tantalizingly close to being done. So I hope to finish this. The next one is House of Splinters by Laura Purcell. I started this a while ago. I had to put it down. I have mentioned in one of my other videos that I've been struggling with concentration lately, but I'm hoping to get back to this. This is another one. I'm 2/3 through. To me, that's almost done. And I think it's a sign of how distracted I've been that I haven't been able to focus on this one, because it's really good. It's gripping, it's atmospheric, and I've said it before, but it is creepy from the very start. And then the other one is, I'm reading it on my e-reader, so I don't have a physical copy, but it's Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. That's another one that I have put down, and I find that particularly with ebooks, if I stop reading them, I don't even remember that I've been reading them because there's no physical book as a reminder. But I think I'm like 75% done that book. So I hope to finish that one soon. I'm gonna put those down. Clark, as usual, is like right next to me, and there's only so many places to put things. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Now, this question leads me to believe that I should have done this tag in October. That would have made sense. But this is not an autumnal book. However, I do sort of think that for mysteries, I tend to gravitate towards them more in the autumn and into winter. So, I've mentioned her before. It's Sarah Woods. This is a vintage copy of the first book in her Anthony Maitland series, Bloody Instructions. Is not a great cover. However, Dean Street Press have they've already republished the first 5 in this series, and the next 5 are coming out December 1st. I have e-proofs of those, and I've read the first one, This Little Measure, and I'm hoping to read in quick succession, probably not before release date, unfortunately, but I'm hoping to read The Windy Side of the Law, Though I Know She Lies, Enter Certain Murderers, and Let's Choose Executors. I'm so excited for this series. I read her books for the first time last year and immediately fell in love. She was writing in the 60s and on. There's 48 books total in this series, so there's lots to enjoy. And as I said, as of December 1st, Dean Street Press will have republished the first 10. Yeah, and there's something about this balance between cozy domestic scenes and Anthony Maitland's investigations. He's a barrister. That just it's just so good, and I think it's like the perfect autumn read. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. The next one is the next question. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? There is. So number one is Possessed, a lost novel of the occult. This is a British Library Tales of the Weird book, so it's from that series. It's by Rosalie and Edward Synton, and it has a massive introduction by horror expert Johnny Maines. This book was originally published in 1927, and I believe Johnny discovered it in, I don't know if it was like in the British Library's collection. But yeah, I'm so excited to read not only his introduction, but the book itself. And yeah, I would love to read that before the end of the year too. And I think that's coming out on the 4th of December. The next one is The World at Home by Ginny Kubitz Moyer. This is coming out, I think, on the 9th. I will write, if I'm wrong, I will write it on the screen. But I've had this one on pre-order for a while. I loved her book, The Seeing Garden, and I'm so excited to read her next one. I also have another one of hers that I'm hoping to get to, but there's more questions that'll lead to that. Okay, the next question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Here we go. There's The Golden Life by Ginny Kubitz Moyer. I have this out from the library. I requested that they order it, and I'm hoping to get a copy for myself at some point. But yes, I am so excited to read this. I subscribe to Ginny's newsletter, so I've heard all about this book. I don't know how I have managed to not read it yet, but I'm very excited. I really want to read this soon. The next one is a release that just came out with Persephone, Hop, Step, and Jump by Winifred Watson. I think a lot of people who are familiar with Persephone books will have read Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day. Well, that came out 25 years ago, if you can believe it. And this one is also by Winifred Watson, and it's coming out in celebration of the 25-year anniversary. Yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one. I haven't read a Persephone book I didn't like. And actually, I could revise that and say I haven't read a Persephone book I didn't love. So I'm very excited for this. And then the next one is another book that I have out from the library. And I've recently returned so many books that I haven't read, just because I got a little behind, took out too many books. It happens. But I kept a hold of this one, The Haunting Season, 8 Ghostly Tales for Long Winter Nights. This is exactly the type of book I want to be reading in December. And I think a story a day would just be like a lovely way to see me into the new year. The next question is, what trends have you noticed in your reading this year? This is a good question. A lot of mysteries, and I love mysteries, but I think I've really noticed like an uptick in my interest in Golden Age mysteries and a lot of children's books. I feel like that probably the two combined probably calculate to be like 2/3 of my reading. And I don't think this comes as any surprise, but I have realized that most of the books that I read are by authors that have already died, which is just an interesting observation to make. I do not purposely not read contemporary books, but I definitely find that I'm more attracted to um, books that have either gone out of print or have been republished for whatever reason. And I have also noticed, because I haven't calculated for the whole year, um, but I did notice the trend that I read a lot of books that have been originally published in the 30s, which I didn't expect. Um, but yeah, I don't have the final numbers, so that may have changed since the last time I checked a couple of months ago. But yeah, I just thought that that was a bit interesting. Um, let's see. The next question is, how do you feel about your reading goals? Anything you want to change, adjust, or abandon? Well, here's confession time. I don't really have reading goals. I yeah, I don't really make reading goals for myself. The one thing that I changed in my reading this year is I made the conscious decision to stop using Goodreads. Um, I I used to enter all of the books that I read in there, and this isn't to say I won't go back to doing that. I do find that it's really convenient, like a convenient way to look up, like, oh, have I read that book? Because sometimes you forget, and you can see at a glance, like, whether or not you read it, what you thought of it, like if you gave it a rating, and how long it took you to read, which can be very like telling. Um, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this. When, like, what year? Um, yeah, so all of this is like really helpful data, or can be. However, I really wanted to take my time with my reading this year and like actually enjoy the content, um, and and focus on quality as opposed to quantity. And I wanted to live. I wanted to spend more time living and not just reading. Now, I don't know if like I have necessarily done a great job at doing more things. I'm always going to be a reader. I think like that's going to be like the number one thing that I do every single day. Um, but yeah, I did a great job at not updating my Goodreads though. Yeah, so I think like I didn't really have any goals, so I didn't I didn't disappoint myself either. The next question is, have you already started making reading plans for next year? Well, like reading goals, I don't really make plans for my reading. Um, outside of making sure that I read like the proof copies or the review copies that come my way. I do have a few. I've fallen a little bit behind, so I would like to get caught up on that. Reading and reviewing, of course. Um, and I would like to read more books that are actually on my shelves and perhaps buy a little less, because I've run out of real estate. I have run out of shelf space, and there's no room for more bookshelves. So yeah. Yeah. So I think that's probably like, as far as like plans, goals go for next year, I think that's probably up there. Um yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know if you have any interesting answers to these questions. I will pop the questions in the description box below. Um, and in the past, I should have said this at the outset, in the past, the questions were a little bit different, but Ariel updated them in 2025. Um, so yeah, so it's a new list. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to show you a brief little clip of Clark because he's awake and staring at me right now. But thanks again. Bye. Hi, sweets. Clark. Someone needs a drink. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.